I think about this line a lot. Like, there isn't always a reason to be optimistic in life. Like, there's plenty of things I look at and go, that's discouraging. Like, there's not a reason to be optimistic on X, Y, and Z. But if you're a Christian, I would suggest there is always reason to be hopeful. Not because you're hopeful for humanity or you're hopeful that we're going to get our act together, but you're hopeful for what ultimately Jesus can do. And so if you believe in Jesus, I don't think you should ever be without hope. And I think Paul's kind of channeling this out of the Abraham story into like what it means for us today. Christine Kane has said it like this. Sometimes it takes hoping against hope to see the promises of God realized in our lives. Hope is not shallow, it's faith. So she's making the argument that this is actually an element of what faith is sometimes hoping against what you might see. So Jeff, I'm curious from your vantage point, do you see the idea of hoping when there is no reason for hope as a naive thing that Christians do? Or do you think there's something to this even from your point of view?
That's great. I agree with the sentiment. I think, yes, it's naive, but it is also beautiful and it is necessary for survival in this world. It makes me think of in Return of the King, when one of the hobbits asks Gandalf, is there any hope for Sam and Frodo to make it on this mission? And Gandalf says,
just a fool's hope.
There's all kinds of stories of survival and people overcoming the odds and coming out the other side, you know, when logically there's no reason to have hope. And hope really is the core of the story there of how do they get through whatever scenario. And it's like a personal story because it made me think about, you know, with the story of Abraham and Sarah and this story that many people are familiar with trying to get pregnant, trying to have a baby. It's a common motif throughout the Bible of whenever there's an important person born, it always starts with the struggle for their parents to get pregnant in the first place. And it's this whole ethical question that I think about all the time and I ask my friends about because a lot of my friends have kids and I don't. And I think about like the ethical questions of, is it even right to bring a child into this world because of the suffering and because of the environmental impact and all these things. And I've had this conversation with my sister who's had similar concerns to me. She's way more environmentally conscious than me. And she had all these hesitations about whether she wanted to have a child or not as well. And at one point she texted me and said, yep, I decided I do want to have kids. And this was the quote that changed my mind. So this is a quote from Audre Lorde that says, if we can keep this world spinning and remain upon it long enough, the future belongs to us and our children. So from her perspective, she was saying like having a child is this defiant act of hope and choosing hope over despair. I'm pro hope, even though I can default to the logicalness of despair in all kinds of things in this world.
Dang. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
From the lips of a skeptic, ladies and gentlemen, a reason for hope. I like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Do you have any follow-up?
I have nothing. That was so well said. Yes, amen.
So well said. Amen. Wow. I'm taking you to church today, Jeremy.